Brothers and sisters, look closely. In the burning sands of the Sahel, where the world only sees death, one man dares to speak the language of life. They call it madness, they mock it, but history will remember it. For who else but Africa would bury fish in the desert? Who else but Africa would plant straw in the dust? Not to waste, but to awaken. Not to bury, but to resurrect. This is not the act of a fool. This is the prophecy of a builder. The desert, dry and merciless, has swallowed our dreams for centuries. But Traoré stands before it and whispers, "You will bloom again." The world watches in disbelief. They do not understand that this is not about fish. This is not about straw. This is about Africa's courage to imagine, the courage to defy the map, the climate, the empire, the curse they placed on our soil. The West brings machines, corporations, and endless exploitation. Traoré brings vision, faith, and a seed of resurrection. Which one will last longer? Which one will endure when empires collapse? Mark this day, children of Africa, because from the desert floor will rise a forest. From the ashes of humiliation will rise a new crown. From the buried fish will rise bread for the nations. The desert, dry, merciless, endless. For centuries, it has swallowed kingdoms, silenced caravans, and mocked the dreams of our ancestors. It stood as a wall, a curse, a sentence written in dust. And the world said, "Africa shall never rise where the sand rules." But hear me today, children of Africa, the desert shall bloom again. We do not speak these words as poetry. We speak them as prophecy. For every grain of sand that burns our feet, there is a seed waiting to rise. For every drought that breaks our people, there is a storm of life gathering in the skies. The desert is not our enemy. The desert is our test. It is the fire that has burned us, yes, but also the fire too. It forges us, and we shall not kneel to it. We shall not surrender to it. We shall transform it. Look at the act they call madness. Fish buried in the sands, straw laid upon dust. The world laughs. The world mocks. But have we not been mocked since the first chains were placed on our wrists? Did they not laugh when our fathers rebelled? Did they not sneer when we said Africa would be free? And yet chains were broken, flags were raised, empires trembled, so let them laugh again. Because what they see as foolishness, we see as the dawn. What they call waste, we call seed. What they call impossible, we call inevitable. Brothers and sisters, this is not only about land, it is about spirit. If the desert can bloom, then Africa can bloom. If dry earth can give birth, then broken nations can rise again. The desert is a mirror, showing us what we are capable of, and we are capable of everything. But hear me, this vision cannot be carried by one man. It cannot be carried by Traoré alone. It cannot be carried by Burkina alone. It must be carried by all of us, from the Nile to the Niger, from the Congo to the Cape. Because the desert does not belong to one tribe, one nation, one leader. It belongs to Africa, and so does the dream of its rebirth. Stand with me, stand with us. Let us turn sand into soil. Let us turn dust into bread. Let us turn laughter into silence and silence into thunder. The desert is waiting for our footsteps. The desert is waiting for our hands. The desert is waiting for Africa to rise. Children of Africa, the time is now. The chains are gone. The night is fading. The dawn is breaking. The desert shall no longer swallow us. The desert shall no longer mock us. The desert shall bloom again. And when it does, the world will know. Africa has awakened from barren sand to living land. This is the journey before us. For too long our eyes have seen only emptiness. A horizon of dust where no tree dares to rise, where no river dares to flow. The enemy tells us, this land is cursed. This soil is dead. Nothing can come from it. But I tell you, brothers and sisters, even the dead soil can be resurrected. We must understand the truth. The earth is not dead. It is only asleep. It waits for us. It waits for our courage, our labor, our faith. The sand that scorches our feet is the same sand that holds the memory of rivers, the memory of forests, the memory of life. And if we dare to awaken it, it shall give back what was stolen. Yet hear me. This path will not be without resistance. The storm will rise. The empire will laugh. They will say, why waste your time? Why waste your strength? Why not leave your deserts and come beg in our cities, in our capitals, in our markets? But we shall answer, because this is our land, because this is our soil, because Africa will no longer beg. They may send doubt, they may send hunger, they may send their puppets to whisper in our ears, give up, abandon, accept your fate. But we are not children of abandonment. We are the children of Sankara, the heirs of Lumumba, the blood of those who rose against chains. We do not abandon, we transform. And so I call upon unity. One hand cannot turn the desert green, but millions of hands can. One seed cannot cover the Sahel, but millions of seeds can. One dreamer may be mocked, but when an entire people dream together, the world trembles. This is our strength, not in gold, not in machines, but in the power of our unity. Imagine it with me, a desert reborn into a garden, fields of millet and sorghum where only dust once lived. Children drinking from wells where once there was thirst, a forest rising from the dunes, casting shade upon the weary traveler. This is not fantasy. This is the vision of Africa when Africa believes in itself. The barren land is a metaphor of our history. They left us stripped, exploited, humiliated. But just as the sand can be turned to soil, our suffering can be turned to strength. Our wounds can be turned to wisdom. Our chains can be turned into bridges for the generations yet to come. And so, my people, I say to you, rise with me. Bring your hands, your sweat, your courage. Bring your roots, your seeds, your fire. Let us turn this land into a living land. Let us prove to the world that Africa can breathe life where others see only death. From barren sand to living land. This is not a dream. This is our destiny. They look at us and laugh. They see fish buried in sand, straw scattered on the desert floor, and they call it waste. They whisper in their salons, "What madness is this? What foolishness? What ignorance?" But they do not understand, because they cannot. For what the blind call waste, the awakened call prophecy. The fish and the straw are not garbage. They are not folly. They are symbols. Fire hidden in ashes, seeds hidden in dust. They are the language of the ancestors speaking through our hands. They are a reminder that even in death, there is the promise of life. Understand this, my people. The world measures everything in profit, in gold, in machines. They see the desert and think of pipelines, contracts, foreign aid, exploitation. But we measure differently. We measure in roots, in rivers, in the breath of children yet unborn. We measure in the freedom of tomorrow. The act of burying fish in the sand is not madness. It is resistance. It is a shout against those who told us our land was dead forever. It is a cry against the empire that said Africa must always import, must always beg, must always starve. It is a declaration. We will feed ourselves. We will heal our land. We will dream impossible dreams and make them flesh. Of course they resist. Of course they mock. The colonizer always mocks what he cannot control. When our fathers spoke of freedom, they mocked. When Sankara rode his bicycle, they mocked. When Nkrumah spoke of unity, they mocked. And now when Traoré plants life in the desert, they mock again. But the laughter of oppressors has never stopped the dawn. Brothers and sisters, unity is our shield. One hand scattering straw is mocked. A million hands scattering straw becomes a forest. One man bearing fish is ridiculed. A people bearing fish together creates a harvest, taus, hat no empire can deny. This is not the work of one man, but of an entire continent rising with one heartbeat. See the vision before your eyes. The straw decomposes, the soil drinks, the seed awakens. The fish dissolves, the sand breathes, the green returns. What was once barren becomes fertile. What was once cursed becomes blessed. The desert, mocked as a grave, becomes a cradle of life. So let the world laugh. Let the doubters whisper. We will not answer with words. We will answer with trees, with rivers, with bread upon the tables of our children. We will answer with a harvest that will silence their ridicule. My people, rise with me. Do not fear the strange, the bold, the prophetic. Fish and straw are not waste. They are the keys of resurrection. They are Africa's message to the world, that from ashes we will rise, that from dust we will feed the nations, that from prophecy we will build tomorrow. They told us it was impossible. They told us the empire was eternal. They told us the desert was stronger than our will, and that fate itself had condemned Africa to hunger, to thirst, to silence. But hear me, children of Africa. We were not born to bow. We were born to defy. Defy the empire that chained our ancestors. Defy the nature that mocked our thirst. Defy the fate that wrote death into our soil. For we are the children of resistance, the heirs of rebellion, the storm that no empire saw coming. The realization is clear. The empire does not fear our weapons, it fears our will. It does not fear our poverty, it fears our unity. It does not fear the desert itself, it fears that Africa might dare to transform the desert into bread, into rivers, into life. Because if Africa can bloom where none believed, then no empire can ever rule her again. But the empire resists. It surrounds us with debts. It poisons us with propaganda. It whispers through its puppets, submit, accept, obey. You are too weak, too divided, too late. And yet, my people, have we not heard these whispers before? Did they not say we would never break our chains? Did they not say we would never raise our flags? Did they not say we would never govern ourselves? And still we rose, and still we fought, and still we carried the dawn. Now as we face the desert, we face the same battle, not of guns, but of faith, not of bullets, but of vision. We do not accept the empire's verdict. We do not accept nature's cruelty as permanent. We do not accept fate as a prison. We defy it all, with our hands, with our unity, with our fire. Unity, my brothers and sisters, is the weapon they cannot conquer, one flame they can extinguish, but a forest fire they cannot stop. One voice they can silence, but a nation's thunder they cannot drown. One people may kneel, but a continent rising as one is unstoppable. This is why I call upon every hand, every heart, every soul. Let us stand together, not as fragments, but as Africa. Imagine it, the empire watching in fear as deserts bloom, the world trembling as rivers return where they said only dust could reign, the future rewritten not by fate but by our own hands, by our own roots, by our own seeds. This is the vision, a continent that does not beg, does not bow, does not break. And so I say to you, rise, rise against empire, rise against despair, rise against the prison of fate. Let us turn resistance into resurrection, storms into dawns, deserts into harvests. Africa shall not be defined by empire, by nature, or by fate. Africa shall be defined by its defiance and its victory. They looked upon our deserts and saw only death. They looked upon our villages and saw only poverty. They looked upon Africa and declared, this continent is cursed, this land is wasted, this people will never rise. But hear me, sons and daughters of the soil, where the world saw death, Africa sees life. This is our realization. The eyes of the empire are blind. They see only what they wish to see. They see our wounds, but not our strength. They see our scars, but not our survival. They see our suffering, but not the fire that keeps us alive through every storm. Africa has always carried life, hidden under chains, buried under dust, silenced under guns, but never destroyed. And so when the world predicts our end, we respond with resurrection. When they call us hopeless, we answer with harvest. When they see deserts, we see gardens waiting to awaken. Because life is written into our roots, into our rivers, into the blood of every child born under the African sun. But make no mistake, resistance will rise against this vision. They will laugh, they will conspire, they will tell us, you cannot feed yourselves, you cannot govern yourselves, you cannot. They dream beyond your chains. They said the same to Nkrumah, they said the same to Sankara, they said the same to Lumumba, and still, Africa rose again and again. Brothers and sisters, our unity is the bridge from death to life. One seed planted alone may be crushed, but 1,000 seeds become a forest no empire can uproot. One drop of water in the desert may vanish, but 1,000 drops become a river no empire can dam. Together, we turn despair into abundance, silence into thunder, emptiness into overflowing harvest. I ask you to imagine it, the land once mocked as barren, now feeding millions. Children running through fields where once only sand blew, villages powered by the sun, by the wind, by the hands of their own people, a continent no longer begging for life, but giving life to the world. This is not a dream. This is the vision of Africa. a vision born not from fear, but from faith. And so I call to you, rise with this vision. Carry it like fire in your chest. Defend it like the roots defend the tree. Spread it like seeds scattered by the storm. Let the world witness what they could not imagine. For Africa's vision is greater than death, greater than empire, greater than despair. It is the vision of life itself, eternal, unstoppable, unbreakable. And when history asks, who gave life where the world saw only death? The answer will be one voice, one people, one name: Africa. They say the sand erases everything, that footsteps vanish with the wind, that kingdoms buried in the desert are forgotten by time, that nothing written on dust can endure. But I tell you, my people, today we write tomorrow on the sand. This is our realization. History is not written only on paper or stone. It is written in courage. It is written in sacrifice. It is written in the choices of a people who refuse to bow. And though the sand shifts and the winds howl, the vision we carve upon it will outlive empires. Do you not see it? Every act that they mocked as foolishness is a line written into tomorrow. Every seed dropped in the desert eye is a word in the story of Africa reborn. Every act of defiance against empire is a chapter in a book they swore we would never write. Traoré takes the sand, once a symbol of emptiness, and turns it into a page of prophecy. But resistance rises. The empire fears what is written here because it cannot erase it. It fears the story of an Africa that refuses to die. It fears the fire that smolders under the dust. It fears the dawn that cannot be held back by any night. And so they will send their chains, their debts, their lies to blur our writing. They will try to wash away our words with storms of fear and floods of division. But what is written with truth cannot be erased. What is carved with sacrifice cannot be undone. Unity is the ink of this tomorrow. One hand may leave only a trace in the sand, but a million hands etch a destiny no wind can scatter. One word may fade, but a chorus of voices becomes thunder that shakes the desert itself. This is why we must write together, not as Burkina alone, not as Mali alone, not as Congo, Ghana, or Guinea, but as Africa, one continent, one story, one tomorrow. And the vision is clear. A continent no longer bound by chains, no longer trapped by the maps of colonizers, no longer silenced by the weight of despair. Instead, an Africa standing tall, feeding itself, leading itself, defining itself. An Africa that turns deserts into fields, dust into bread, silence into song. An Africa that teaches the world that even sand can carry life, that even dust can carry prophecy, that even the forgotten can rise to lead. So I call upon you, my people, take up your fire, your seeds, your courage. Let us write with sweat, with sacrifice, with vision. Let us carve tomorrow upon the sand so deeply that even the empire's storm cannot erase it. For when the world returns and asks, who dared to write on the shifting sands? The answer will rise like dawn, unshaken, eternal. It was Africa. It was her children. It was us. Children of Africa, the hour is no longer tomorrow. It is now. The chains have been broken, but the battle is not finished. The desert waits for our hands. The soil waits for our seeds. History waits for our courage. Let the empire laugh. Their laughter will turn to silence. Let the doubters mock. Their mockery will turn to envy. Because Africa is rising, not with permission, not with charity, but with fire, with vision, with unity. This is your call. Do not watch from the shadows. Do not wait for another to carry your duty. Stand, speak, sow, build. Carry this vision to your brother, to your sister, to your children. Tell them Africa will no longer crawl. Africa will walk. Africa will run. Africa will fly. And when the world asks, who lit the fire that the storm could not quench? The answer must be, it was us. It was Africa. It was our generation. So rise with me. Share this vision. Spread this word. Join this movement. Because together we are not echoes. We are thunder. Together we are not shadows. We are the dawn. And together we will write a tomorrow the world cannot erase. Africa will rise, but only if her children rise with her.